Hey guys, Cleanblade here, bringing another Pokemon TCG online deck profile, and today we're going to be looking into Maxie's Pyroar, which is essentially Archeops Pyroar, but we're using the Maxie's engine to get out Archeops, and yeah, we're basically trying to do a turn 1, shut down our opponents, stuff like that. So let's just jump straight into the deck profile. So we're running double Archeops with Ancient Power. It makes it so you or your opponent can't evolve from your hand, essentially. So this means they'll have to stay at basic, which basically allows Pyroar's ability to take full effect, and that's basically what we're shooting for. So let's move on from there. Then we're running for Litleo. We run the 70 HP one over the 60 HP one just for more survivability. That's the only reason. Then we're running for Intimidating main Pyroar. This prevents all damage by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. Now this does not stop status elements like Poison, Burn, or the item lock from Seismitoad's Quaking Punch, so you have to keep that in mind. But all regular damage is completely negated from basic Pokemon. Now, so the entire goal of this deck is to get out an Archeops turn 1 with Maxies, and then get out a Pyroar using Evo Soda, because you cannot evolve from your hand, but you can evolve from your deck, so Evo Soda gets around Archeops, if that makes sense, allowing the Intimidating main to take place. And unless if your opponent either kills Archeops or uses Evo Soda themselves, they are not going to be able to stop the Intimidating main ability from activating. Garbodor can be a counter, but if we get it off turn 1, they can't even evolve into Garbodor, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is why this deck works. So let's move into some of the consistency Pokemon that we run for the deck. We're running double Execute, and this is just for propagation. Sometimes we have an Ultra Ball in our hand and we need to discard something so that we can get down to that one card, but we don't have anything to discard, and that's where propagation comes in. Plus it allows us to just Ultra Ball for free sometimes, essentially, even though when we don't need it. And that can be really good, and it can be really helpful, and that's why we're running 2 Execute. Then we're running double Jirachi. Now, Stellar Guidance makes this deck work with Maxies. It allows us to get down to that perfect 1-card hand, then Jirachi out the Maxies and get out the Archeops. Now, we run 2 because 1 can get prized, and then you're just kind of not in a good position because you got one of your Jirachis prized, and you could open it then, and then it's just not nearly as good, and it's not nearly as consistent. Plus, Jirachi allows us to grab our Blacksmith, our Lysander, our Ents, our Sycamores, so that's also why we run double Jirachi. Now, moving on to kind of like a side attacker Pokemon, we are running 1 Mewtwo EX, and that's it. This is the end of our Pokemon line after this, but we're running it specifically for X-Ball just to deal the 20 times. Plus, it has the Psychic typing, allows us to hit certain Psychic Pokemon for weakness and certain fighting Pokemon for weakness, not fire, like Lucario and other Mewtwo's, stuff like that, which can pose a threat if we don't get out our Archeops or Pyroars early on. So that's why we run the Mewtwo. Now, moving into our items, we run really fast speed cards like Acrobike. So we're running 4 Acrobike. It just adds consistency and speeds up our deck and allows us to go through our deck really fast. Then we're running 4 Battle Compressor. This just allows us to search through our deck, ditch out the Archeops as the Execute, stuff like that. So we can all get those back with either Maxies or just use Propagation to get them back. Plus, we can also ditch out Blacksmith and Lysander so we don't draw them over really silly things. Like, what I mean is, we don't draw them after we Maxies and stuff like that, because we don't want that. We want to be able to just consistently draw after that and get off the 5-card hand instead of being stuck on a 4-card hand with Blacksmith and stuff like that. So that's why we're running the 4 Battle Compressor. Then we're running 1 Computer Search, A-Spec. It's really good, and it helps us get out Maxies and stuff like that. So Computer Search is pretty much unnecessary in this deck. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend running Dowsing Machine, though you could, but I don't see what it would really do for you overall, so that's why I say run Computer Search. Then we're running 4 Evo Soda, as I said before. We do have to run Evo Soda to get around Archeops' lock, because it does lock us, so we have to play from the hand and then get our Pokemon out from the deck. So hopefully you don't get Pyroar's prized and stuff like that. That can hurt, and it can happen occasionally. I've had it happen to me over the course of playtesting the deck, but the odds of it are pretty low overall, so just a heads up on that. So you do have to run Evo Soda. You could cut it down if you wanted to run Super Energy Retrievals or something like that, but we don't even run that into the deck. I think it's not as well, it's consistent, but only to a certain degree. So yeah, I'll cover that towards the end of the video. So yeah, moving on. we are running 3 level ball. Level ball is just to search our deck for Litleos, Jirachi, Executes if we need them, stuff like that. So that's why we're running the 3 level ball. Then we're running 4 Trainer's Mail just for consistency. Trainer's Mail is just really good and it's really consistent. And we don't have to grab anything off of Trainer's Mail, so it could be a dead card in our hand. And just don't grab anything and get a free Maxies off of it, stuff like that. So that's why we run the Trainer's Mail. Then we're running 4 Ultra Ball. Allows us to get Jirachi, it thins our hand, everything. The Ultra Ball does everything this deck needs. If we could run 8 Ultra Balls, we'd run 8 Ultra Balls in this deck, but we just can't. And that's unfortunate because, you know, it's such a good card. But yeah, so we're running the 4 that we're limited to. It's a really good card, and you should really run the 4. Moving on, we're running 4 VS Seeker. VS Seeker is just really strong. It gets our Maxies, Blacksmiths, Lysanders, and Sycamores, all of our supporters, which we all run. So that's why we're running 4 VS Seeker. Then we're running 1 Blacksmith. The Blacksmith is just really consistent in this deck. We run a very limited amount of energy source, so being able to get back our fire energies for our Pyroars can be pretty big at sometimes, because people have a tendency to run Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer in expanded, because this deck is an expanded deck. So that's why we run the Blacksmith. Then we're running 1 Lysander. Sometimes you just Lysander things for game, and they just can't do anything about it, and you just take the prize, and it's game over. That's why we run the Lysander. Then we're running double Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick. Basically allows us to get out Archeops when we have no cards in our, when this card is our last card in our hand, essentially. So yeah, that's what we're using to get out Archeops, and hopefully we can do a turn 1 every single time. Now, we are running 2N and just 2N, and helps us with consistency, but we don't want to run an overabundance of them because we're still trying to keep this deck a speed deck. Then we're running 2 Sycamore, exact same reason why we only run 2 as N, because it's a speed deck and we don't want to be drawing them consistently. Then we're running 1 Scorched Earth, and the Scorched Earth is just for a little bit of consistency help, plus if they run Silent Lab and they open up Silent Lab, we can still counter it with Scorched Earth, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's the only reason why we really want it, just so then we can still Jirachi and stuff. Yeah, other than that, we really don't care about the stadiums that get played, and yeah. But moving on to the energy, we're running 3 DCE, not 4, we just don't have the room for 4, and then 5 fire energy, because Pyroar does require fire energy to attack. Now if it didn't, then we'd run 4 DCE constantly, stuff like that. But jumping into the super energy retrieval that I said I'd bring up towards the end of the video, now you could run super energy retrieval in this deck. I think it'd help you get a more consistent early game with Archeops Pyroar. It'll help you consistently get Archeops out turn 1, but in the mid to late game, I feel like it'll hurt you more, because you'll have these dead draws, and you'll have to super energy retrieval for so much extra energy that you won't need overall, compared to just taking 1 Blacksmith like I do. But that is a complete player preference, I guess you could say, to whether or not you want to run it and stuff like that. So that's just my personal opinion on it. I think Blacksmith version is more mid-game, late game, and super energy retrieval version is more early game. It helps you get out Archeops consistency earlier, but I think as it is now, we have a really good odds of getting out Archeops turn 1. So yeah, it just comes down to whether or not you feel it in your bones that you're going to get out Archeops turn 1. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this deck profile. If you guys liked it, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you guys didn't, let me know down in the comment section below. And yeah, if you guys really liked it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.